Talking about bring the funk on Capitol Hill. Y'all, they had a hearing, and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas and that trifling, big bird-looking Nancy Mace from South Carolina. Man, did they get into it, where Mace literally was like, yo, I will fight you. Roland!
Chair, recognize Ms. Crockett.
I have an amendment at the desk.
So there's 5. Will the clerk, everyone has the amendment. Everyone has the Crockett amendment on the desk. Will the clerk please report the amendment?
An amendment to the rules of the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform for the 119th Congress is offered by Ms. Crockett of Texas.
Without objection, the amendment is considered as read. I reserve a point of order. The gentlewoman is recognized for 5 minutes to explain her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. During the 118th Congress, Oversight Republicans disbanded one of the most important subcommittees in Congress, the Subcommittee on Civil Rights and Civil Liberties. And now in the 119th Congress, the chairman and House Republicans have decided to prioritize the demands of the real president, Elon Musk, and his billionaire friends over the needs of the American people. Now, we are about to approach the birthday of Martin Luther King. It's actually tomorrow. And on January 20th will be the inauguration of Donald Trump, but it will also be the observation of MLK Day. And the fact that we have decided that in this country we are not going to honor civil rights should be something that we all take issue with. Considering the fact, for some that don't know what civil rights are about, because some people only believe that it deals with black folk, let me explain. Civil and political rights are a class of rights that protect individuals' freedom from the infringement by governments, social organizations, and private individuals. They ensure one's entitlement to participate in the civil and political life of society and the state. Defined another way, the right to be free from discrimination, the freedom to worship as we choose, the right to vote for our elected representatives, the protections of due process, the right to privacy. If any of that sounds familiar, it is because these are rights that are born out of our Constitution, something that we all supposedly have sworn an oath to, and we swear to not only, we don't just swear to it, we are supposed to protect those rights. Interestingly enough, we just had the funeral of one of our beloved presidents. And I caught a flight to Austin on the day of the funeral. And I had the honor of sitting next to someone who was a little familiar with the White House. That person was Lucy Baines Johnson. And when I tell you that she is a wealth of information, I really mean that. And when we had an opportunity to talk about what she experienced as her father was president during a time in which, honestly, our country was on fire, and I would argue that, unfortunately, our country is on fire right now. When I first ran for office, I ran for the State House and said that we were in the midst of a modern-day civil rights movement, and I have not been convinced otherwise just yet. But this is the daughter of the president that signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. She was also there when he signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And to be perfectly honest, without that voting rights, I don't believe that I actually would have a seat in Congress. And so I do believe in preserving the fact that everyone should be entitled to real and true representation, because I do have a Section 2 seat as our Voting Rights Act has been decimated. But one of the stories that she told me was that her father asked her about coming over to the Congress for the signing of the bill as it relates to the Voting Rights Act. Now, for her, it was a bit inconvenient as an 18-year-old to have to leave the White House and go over to Congress. And she asked her father, why should we go over to the Congress, Daddy, to sign this particular bill? And she said, we need to go over to the Congress because we need to pay due respect to those members of Congress that knew that voting for this bill meant that they would not be returning to Congress, but they had the courage to do what was right for this country and make sure that everyone's voices were going to be heard. The one thing that we could do, the very small thing that we could do, is have a little bit of courage and decide that we are going to reinstitute this particular subcommittee, because unfortunately, I don't see the type of courage that the people that served back in the 60s had coming out of some of our colleagues. And so I'm asking you to do the courageous thing today and just institute a subcommittee that would make sure that we are looking out for those protections of everyone in this country, to make sure that we have real freedom, something that we all supposedly espouse to believe in. And with that, I will yield.
Mr.
Any
Chairman.
member seek recognition? Ms. Stansberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the gentle lady across the aisle demonstrating why we need civil rights. We need civil rights to protect all people, especially trans Americans who are under attack right now. I would like to yield the rest of my time to the gentle lady who is carrying the amendment.
I don't even know how we got there, because I tried to make it clear how many civil rights, it doesn't just boil down to one conversation, but I can see that somebody's campaign coffers really are struggling right now. So she gonna keep saying trans, 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 so that people will feel threatened. And child, listen, I want y'all
I
to
am
tell
no
me
child.
whether or
Do
not
call me a child. I am no child.
I want
Don't
to
even
find
start.
out
I am a grown
which
woman.
of those
I am 47 years
emails
old. I have broken
actually
more
have.
glass ceilings than you
Chairman,
ever
I
Order,
am
please.
reclaiming my
Let's go.
time.
You will not do that. I am
Order.
not a
Chairman,
child.
I am
not a
reclaiming
child.
my time.
If you want to take it outside,
Mr. Chairman, the committee is not
Okay.
in order.
All right. Order.
Point of order. Point of order.
Order. Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
No, point of order, Mr. Chairman.
State your point.
Is it allowed in the rules for a member to incite violence against another member? I mean, she said she wants to take it outside with.
hey, I have the
Crockett.
First Amendment right too,
And
young
so
man. I have the
I'd like
First
those
Amendment
words
right.
to be
I'm not
taken
gonna be a
down.
child.
I
I'm
am
not gonna
moving
be
to have
called a
those
child
words
by
taken
any of
down.
you.
I believe it's against the rules to
Going
incite
outside doesn't
violence
incite
against
violence.
another
You have a
member of
conversation
Congress.
that isn't.
The committee will
interrupting this
suspend.
committee.
The member will state the words he wishes taken down.
Where she said that we can take it outside, which is direct violation against the rules, inciting violence against another member.
What rule? What rule? Cite the rule.
How does that incite violence?
Mr. Chairman, there are, if I might point out, Mr. Chairman, there are decorum rules in the House of Representatives.
And the two parliamentarians are discussing this right now. We'll suspend for a second.
Child. Now, I know Nancy Mace's Simple Simon, silly ass, know better. There is no greater attention grifter, lover than anybody, Nancy Mace. Lord, don't get between her and a camera. But we can take it outside. Nancy Mace, hashtag Team Whip That Ass will show up if you really tried to swing on Jasmine Crockett. Hey, no, stop. But even Jasmine Crockett wasn't lying. Nancy Mace lost her mind. She was going trans because of an incoming Democratic member of Congress, and she was right because she was just sitting there trying to raise some money. I mean, child, go sit your little ass down. What nonsense from Nancy Mace? Avis?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, here she is, gaslighting. That's exactly what that was, gaslighting 101. It is the same playbook that the Republicans have leaned on for God knows how long, right? They sit here, they create a boogeyman, and they ride that boogeyman in a way that allows them to score political points in any way possible. In fact, that specific boogeyman that she was referring to in terms of trying to sort of insert the word trans again in this particular conversation was, in essence, a specific issue that they swift voted the Harris campaign on. Let's just get real about that, because once again, her political operatives chose not to respond, but that's another conversation. I will say this. She knew what she was doing. She was trying to get attention. She knew when she said it and she knows that she knows the connotation of that phrase. She knows it. She was just doing what she does, as you mentioned, trying to raise money, trying to get attention, trying to get a little time on Fox or something. But clearly, if she was really about that life, she wouldn't really use those words and turn them into action. She just wants to really be a spectacle, and that's what she did.
You are dealing with Simple Simons, Ben, on the Republican side, and Nancy Mace, without a doubt, is clearly one of the most horrendous fools when it comes to trying to get attention for herself, and she's shameless about it.
Yeah, we live with a social media Congress, particularly on the MAGA side. They want to make a spectacle and they want to make a scene. Nancy Mace strikes me as someone who peaked in high school. She was the mean girl in high school, was the most popular, and then all of a sudden the rest of her life has come down to this, where she has to seek attention, even though she's a congressperson, right? She already has a position of power, but that's not enough. She needs additional attention on top of that, and so she created this. I agree that this was gaslighting. And the funniest thing about this is, though, you have so many white folks online right now trying to figure out the difference. They're Googling the difference between child and child. And it's like we're having to explain it to them. But either way it goes, Jasmine Crockett was 100% correct. In either way that she used the word, because Nancy Mace is a child. She is the most childish member of Congress, and that's saying a lot when you got Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene there. And so I appreciate Jasmine Crockett, and honestly, Roland, I really appreciate the way you center her in this segment and with that opening graphic, because she's one of the #1 targeted people in Congress right now, and I believe that all people need to rally behind her and support her in the way that you are.
What the white conservatives do, Mustafa, oh, look at her. She's ghetto. And that's the game that they actually play, because they want to call her the N-word so bad.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's true. But we also know that this particular congressional person, that she's uneducated. You can tell that she has no cultural competencies, because she would understand the difference between a word that ends in E and a word that ends in D, and how it plays out. So evidently, she has had no conversations with black folks, or she would have understood that word. Now, I know that she doesn't care. I understand that it was just for a photo op, or for, a quick meme, or a quick video, those different types of things. But we had to go deeper, right? Because they are trying, Congresswoman Crockett is actually trying to, one, educate them on the history and the importance of the moment that they have to be able to make sure that we are actually honoring the work that has happened in civil rights, and to make sure that the subcommittee is in place, because we understand that the challenges are still there. But we also understand that they have no interest in that, because it doesn't benefit them, or at least they feel it doesn't benefit them, and it shows the short-sightedness. And that's why I say that they are uneducated, because an educated person, even if it's not something that you necessarily fully believe in, understands the changing dynamics inside of this country, understands that the country needs to be stronger, and that civil rights is one of the elements that helps us to be able to do that. So, the other thing that I thought was real interesting as I close is that yesterday, of course, was Delta Sigma Theta's anniversary, 112 years, 350,000 sisters. So if you want to get busy, there's a whole bunch of sisters that will give you everything that you want. So I would be careful when I walked out on the steps of the Capitol, because you may have some very intense conversations by highly educated sisters who will also make sure that you understand what time it is.
Now, that fool ain't got a clue what DST is. Matter of fact, Nancy Mace can't spell DST.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now, we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $6.65 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $4.8 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.